has, but
Well, I
and then you have to just keep it in.
Okay, we're live.
Right, hello, good evening, good morning, wherever you're joining us from around the world. I'm Lorraine Candy from the Sunday Times. This is Victoria Beckham. We are in her store in Dover Street in London. It's 7:15ish, the evening here. This is Sarah Creal from Estee Lauder. And we are here to talk about International Women's Day. We're part of the huge campaign that Facebook is doing called She Means Business. So all around the world at the moment, live on Facebook, women are talking about business, what they've done, what they've achieved, and how they look upon equality and inspiring other women. So we thought we would get together and talk about that. And we're really asking for your questions. Please listen and then send us questions in the comments later on. So this whole session, this whole chat is about what it means to be a woman in business, how to set up your business, how to achieve what you want to achieve. So I thought I would start with Victoria, you've been running a very successful business, both in retail, and you've done a collaboration with Estee Lauder last year with a second drop of the makeup this year. So talk to me a bit about being a businesswoman, because that's what you're known for now.
For me, I feel so lucky, so blessed to do what I love. My business is my passion. It's what I've always dreamed of. And I truly believe that if you work hard enough and you dream big enough, there are no limits to what you can achieve. I think you have to focus and really love what you do and really put in the work. And I'm proud of what I have achieved and what my team has achieved.
You've got a very good statistic for your team, because 79% of your team are women and 80% of senior management are women, which is really unusual. How do you think that makes a difference, and how does it make you a better businesswoman?
For me, it's not really about whether someone's male or female. It's the best person for the job. And I have a great team, lots of very, very strong, powerful, very, very intelligent women, and that's who I want to surround myself with. I want to learn. I always want to say, I want to surround myself with people that inspire me, that are really, really clever, that I can learn from.
It's great. There is a phrase I learnt the other day about reverse mentoring, where you learn a lot from your younger team coming in with new ideas. So Sarah, you've worked for a lot of brands, but you've worked for Estee for over a decade now, I think. And actually your job is global lead on products. So what you do is develop the makeup. So you work with lots of different teams and lots of different groups, and you have to push something through, don't you? What's your kind of take on making that work?
I think you've got to just really have a vision, like with the Estee Lauder Victoria Beckham collaboration, having a vision and then being able to share it with your team.
Do you go into a business with that vision? I mean, do you wake up and think, right, this is exactly what I want to do, and then you have to sell that in? How does it work?
No, and my team will tell you it changes way too much. But, you start with a vision, but part of the creative process is, collaborating and building on a vision and making it a more interesting, kind of end result,
How do you, a lot of women I know who set up businesses, they have their passion, they follow their passion, but they struggle with being a boss, which is quite hard. How do you work when the full responsibility is yours, and at the end of the day it's your job to make it sell, I guess?
Yeah, but I never think of it. I never think of it that way, because it's just not really true. It's the team and it's everybody together making this thing the best.
What kind of boss are you? Would you describe yourself as?
I think collaborative, which I think women in general are very strong at being. I think empowering. I try not to micromanage, and I think fun.
That's very important, isn't it, I think, as a team. One of the things that I think is very inspiring to women is to see what other women have done in the past, and women who've been successful. And I was looking at some quotes from Estee Lauder today, and one I think is great, because I think it's very important for you, especially for young women starting out, is you can be feminine and tough. I love my femininity as much as I rely on my toughness. I think that mix is important. What do you think about that?
A lot of people say, what kind of boss are you? And do you shout a lot? No. I think if you surround yourself with the right people that inspire you, that you respect because they are very, very good at what they do, I think it's about empowering your team. So I think, yes, it's about being firm, but also, allowing people to feel free, especially when you're working in a creative industry.
Yes. Yeah, they have to be able to bring you ideas, don't they?
I think so. That's how you get the best out of people. If you empower people and make them feel like the best version of themselves and make them feel good about themselves, that's how people give you the best work. And I have a team of extraordinary people working with me that give me so much. I mean, working in fashion is not a clock in, clock out
No, you've got to be on it.
type of industry, and the work and the passion that my team give me is fantastic. And I think that, you know, it's my job as the boss, if you like, to bring that out in people. But I never say anybody works for me. I say that we work together because, as Sarah said, it's important to be collaborative. I'm a team player. Everybody that works with me are team players. And when I look at what I have achieved, it's what we have achieved as a team. And I feel proud of everybody, every single person who works with me.
I've got a little question here. LA Mac just sent a question through from Glasgow. What do you think the biggest I think, Sarah, you'd be good to answer this. What do you think the biggest challenges are for a woman starting her own business, and how do you overcome that?
Well, I think getting the guts up is hard. You know, I think you have to
Right
really,
now, getting the guts
you know,
up.
I mean,
Yeah.
because
I'm
it's
gonna
really,
use that
it's the
tomorrow at
courage.
work.
I think it's the courage is the first thing to start your own business, and it's important that you do have a vision, because you will ultimately need to lead
Yeah.
in you know, in this endeavor. So it's important to have the vision and have the passion.
Is that about being fearless and brave?
I don't know. I think, you know, fearless is one aspect of it, and brave, but you also have to be smart and do your homework and figure out if what you're doing is really bringing something new.
I think that's very important as well, particularly in any creative industries, to do your research. I mean, I think that's what's impressive about what you've done with fashion. You know your stuff, and you would never walk into a room unprepared for anything.
You know, I think you've got to work hard. And I mean, let's not forget that, you know, there are a lot of women that are either in business or want to start up a business that also have a family. And you can't underestimate how hard it is when you are trying to juggle having a family and also working. You know, it is different for women. There's a lot of pressure. And that's where I hope that maybe if there is anybody that I can inspire as a woman that does have a family, and I put my family first. David and the children are everything to me. And you know, I'm juggling, and there's a lot of women out there, and I think that we can't underestimate the pressure that we have as women. And it's, you know, being, you know, there has to be a softness to a woman. But then
Which
also
that's
you
the
have to be
feminine.
firm
Yeah.
to command that respect as
Yes.
well. It's getting that balance.
And at home you have to be firm to command respect as
You
well.
do.
You have two
You
daughters,
do.
do you?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So how have you managed the blend, what they call today the blended life?
Well, for example, today I let them get out of school early to watch this in
Oh,
the
good
U.S.
mum. Good
Right?
mum, yeah.
So because
they're
I
there.
think
Give them a wave.
they are. Hi, Isla. Hi, Peyton. You know, and I think it's just important that they see as much as they can of what it is I'm doing. You know, and it's hard when they're young. They're 7 and 9. But I know with Harper too. It's like, you know, we show them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you keep that conversation going at home about what you do and
Oh,
who
yes.
you are as a woman?
Yeah, and you know, I mean, it's interesting that you say that, because as we were setting up to film this, Romeo texted me, and I don't know if he's watching this. He might be. So Romeo, if you are, off of
He
his
might
own
ask a
back,
question.
yeah, off of his own back, he's just opened up an Instagram public account, and off of his own back, he posted a picture of me and him together, saying it's, you know, what today is and what today symbolises. And he did that off of his own back, and he's a 14-year-old boy. And the fact that he did that and he recognised what today means to women, I think is a really, really great thing. I mean, I got quite emotional when I woke up today, and I thought, this is International Women's Day. How far we have come as women is incredible. You know, I think it's great that we're doing what we're doing today.
And when you get up in the morning and you've got a particularly tough day at work, do you have a mantra or something you say to yourself before you get out and face that day? Is there something that keeps you going through?
Well, I always just kind of say to myself, I'm a work in progress. You know, I mean, this is not a finished situation. And, you know, I just do my best. It's really...
Yeah, and also just to be the best you can be
Yeah.
that day, I think.
Just to take the pressure off.
And I love the mornings because I love to get up,
Yeah.
and I think it's my role in the house is to get everybody off to a good start and be positive and have energy. The first thing I do when I open my eyes is say thank you. I feel so thankful, I feel so blessed and grateful to have the family that I have and have a job that doesn't feel like a job. And I think it's about being really, really positive. And even if you've got a tough day, you know, sometimes the kids have got a tough day. To little people, if they've got, you know, double maths, that's a hard day. But let's look at this in a positive way and let's feel blessed. I think is my message.
I think coffee is good as well.
Coffee
For
is
good-
necessary.
just
Well, that's the
get
first thing.
Super necessary.
day. Sometimes when I'm having, you know, quite a long day and I do all the things with the kids at home and everything, I find that how working sometimes affects my sleep. I dream about it, I think about it. Do you think it seeps into other bits of your life that is stressful? Does it? And how do you deal with that stressful side?
Well, for me, you know, of course, you know, there's no wall around work, and you know, when things are going well and when things are not going well, you know, it goes both ways. But really, I was saying to you, you know, I have a meditation practice that I do.
Yeah,
and
I like your meditation practice.
it helps me a lot, and I have to do a guided meditation because I don't have the discipline to just sit on a sofa and just, you know, get into it. But it helps me to stay balanced, I think.
Do you think you have to have something that's not work or family as well, and another thing you do just to have some, what they call, I hate the phrase, but me time, as it were?
I mean, I think that is important, and it is a juggling act. And I've found a way to have a family and have a career, but I haven't quite figured out how to also have a social life, lots of friends.
Yeah,
so for me, my me time will be first thing in the morning before I get the kids up and breakfast and off to school is to work out. And that is my time where I can really process what I have got going on. So that's my time.
Yeah, I think exercise is quite important.
Yes,
as part
for
of that,
sure.
as well as part of that whole journey.
Yes.
How do you deal with setbacks, I guess? I think that some people are beginning to ask that in the questions. If you have a setback, if something's really difficult and it hasn't gone the way you wanted, how do you pick yourself up from that to move forward?
You know, I've had lots of setbacks. You know, when I look at my, even before my career, when I was at school, you know, I was the kid that had to work really, really hard. I was bullied at school, and I sometimes look back and I think, you know, wow, I mean, why did you keep getting up? Every time you got knocked down, you got up again. And that's another way that I think a positive message that I have to share with people. Setbacks are not bad things. You can learn from maybe things that don't go as planned. You can look at yourself. You know, I think you have to be positive. You have to learn from every experience, and you've got to better yourself. And actually, you've just got to work really, really hard. I look at us now, and I think I'm sitting in my shop in Dover Street in central London. Who'd have thought this was a dream? And every day I pinch myself, and I have had lots and lots of setbacks. And if I can do it, then anybody can do it.
And you, Sarah, you've come from a very small town, you were saying,
Yes.
in America,
Yes.
and you've worked with these massive luxury brands, you've lived in different countries. How have you dealt with the times when it hasn't worked and you thought, I've made a mistake? I did it wrong.
Well, I think when I was younger, when I would make a mistake, I would take it very personally and you know, sort of beat myself up about it. And now when there's, you know, a failure, I don't personalize it quite so much, and I also give it a moment to be like, okay, that was a failure. What did I learn? You know, and that's what I do.
Also, it's quite good to just feel the sadness of it sometimes,
Yeah.
isn't it?
You have to kind of give
Then you
it
have a
its
yin and a
respect.
yang.
Yeah.
You have to give it its respect. Do you think that when you first start a business as a woman, it's maybe harder than starting a business as a man, or does that just not enter your thinking? You're just thinking, this is what I'm doing, this is my business.
Well, I'm in beauty, and I think, you know, women should be in beauty. You know, that's what I think. So I don't really No, it doesn't enter my mind.
I think starting a business is hard whether you're a man or a woman. You know, it
Yeah,
takes
it's just tough.
passion, it takes guts, and it takes a lot of work. Is it different for women? I suppose, unfortunately, that does still depend on the industry that you're in, sadly.
Yeah.
Yes. And women do have a lot of the responsibility at home
Yeah.
still. And
Yeah.
so that adds complexity for sure.
It makes it more complicated.
Definitely.
One of the things that I've kind of been thinking about when in my career and talking to young women, especially coming through, is this sense of developing your voice, so that you don't feel you can't ask for things, that you can't say there is maybe another way of doing it. How have you developed, you Victoria, maybe your voice through your changing career?
You know, for me, I've never pretended to know everything. I want to learn. I'm like a sponge. I like to think outside of the box. And I'm never afraid to ask. That's the other thing. I'm never afraid to ask advice and surround myself with people that are very good at what they do and experienced. So I can learn and I can grow and I can be a better person, more professional, and better at what I do.
Bringing
A better
expertise.
product developer in cosmetics.
Yeah.
She's asked so many questions.
your job, is
I
that
can.
what's
She
going-
could
yeah.
have it. She could have it. I mean, really, the amount of questions that Victoria has asked and the things that she's not only asked but learned and synthesized into the products that we've developed is incredible.
Yeah.
I've been able to take what I have learned, being a woman, being photographed a lot, doing huge photo shoots and standing on red carpets. I have learned so much that I can now put into the work that I'm doing with Sarah and everybody at Estee Lauder. So when we first started developing the collection, the pigments of the eyeshadows had to be the right size so that they sparkled when the light hit the pigments, but so they didn't fall on your cheek. It's difficult to find the perfect nude lip. So all of these things, I've seen so many pictures of myself and learned so much through not just seeing pictures of myself, but working with the best makeup artists in the world. And I've been able to take all of that and really put this into our collection. Because I know that these are key pieces that you can't
And
find
when
out
you
there.
have to work with someone who knows, that has done their research, that you have to have done that before you walk into a room to know what's going on.
Sure.
There is another Estee Lauder quote which I quite liked, which is, "I never dreamed about success, I worked for it." Because I think sometimes you can assume it's going to happen without realising it is 18-hour days and it is 7 days a week.
It
In
is
any
work.
industry, actually, it is work. You're always working a bit harder than the other person doing the same thing.
Yes.
Have you found that? What kind of hours have you faced occasionally, and where have you
Yes.
put the time in?
Yes, I mean, there have been times that I've been at the office working all day, then I come home and I have dinner with my girls, I put them to bed, and then I start working again. And I think a lot of women do that, you know? And it's, it's just working hard is part of being a success. Like, it doesn't
In any-
anything,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
anything.
Yeah,
But you know,
yeah.
the fact that I'm sitting here right now with Victoria and you is not like a dumb luck, situation. You know.
I also think it's about managing your time correctly, and that's
Yeah.
something that as women
Yeah.
we are very good at. You know, like I said, I have a whole team of working mums working with me, and we do have to be home in time to feed the kids and then put the kids in the bath and then put the kids in bed. And so it's really about focusing your time and managing your time. We don't have the luxury of wasting time, and I think that's
Gotta get
something
it
that's
done,
great
yeah.
about women.
Yes.
Yes.
So you're a UN, United Nations Goodwill Ambassador, and you've actually travelled all around the world doing that, and must have met women from incredibly different backgrounds from the one that you're used to. What have you learned from them in terms of their business sense and their life sense?
You know, I have travelled an enormous amount with UNAIDS, and the philanthropic work that I do is something that I feel very, very passionately about. And I have met incredibly strong women that really are holding communities together. They're phenomenal. It changed my life when I started working with UNAIDS, and I hope to go on many more field trips. I
And
was
it's
surprised
all-
at the strength.
It's useful to learning, isn't it? How women work in other parts of the world is very different, and they're actually quite useful, I think,
Yes.
for us. in
Yes.
I think we've got time for one more question. If I've got something here from Edward Bartholomew. smile?
Oh, Edward.
I can't spell
From
it.
Vogue. Oh, it's a Vogue question. Okay, better be good, Edward.
Hi, Victoria Beckham. Very formal, thank you, Edward. What do you love most about working with Estee Lauder, and what are you taking away from her when you work on your collection? I guess the legacy of that.
You know, people always say to me, who is my beauty icon? My beauty icon has always been Estee Lauder, and everything that she stands for as a strong female entrepreneur and everything that she achieved. So it was a dream come true for me to work with Estee Lauder. And I remember when I was younger, and I used to sit and watch my mum getting dressed up, and she would wear Estee Lauder makeup, and I often have that moment where I have to pinch myself when I go into the Estee Lauder offices in New York. This is incredible. Who would have thought? I feel very, very lucky. I'm excited about the product that we're developing as well. You know, with everything that we're doing, Estee Lauder are working with new labs. So I feel that what we're doing is quite different and, dare I say, groundbreaking, not just for me, but for Estee Lauder as well.
Definitely.
Would you say?
I would say so, yes. I mean, it's really, we're constantly pushing on innovation in terms of
and listening
pigments
to your
and,
consumers.
and pearls and and the base formulas and going to new labs and
And I love how I'm also reaching another customer as well. You know, when I do in-store events, you know, customers that maybe I haven't met yet. You know, every woman out there wants the perfect nude lipstick. It's not as easy as you think to find it, and people are really enjoying what we're doing. And ultimately, I started out with the Spice Girls talking about girl power. Now it's the same thing, but I'm reaching out to women to empower women through fashion and also makeup and beauty as well. It's the same thing, it's just fashion, and I got a little older. If you like. Do you know what I mean? It's the same message.
So thank you very much. Happy International Women's Day to everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for your questions. And that's it.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
It's great. Thank you.